You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us as we are doing our best to be our IT selves, our internet technology gurus here, along with doing several other things in the morning, getting ready for the show. All kinds of quirks and quarks and mishaps and glitches and you name it, but we're here, and that's the good thing, because if we weren't, we wouldn't be here, but we are, and it's a miracle. And the miracle is Sudbury News Talk each and every weekday morning on CKLU between the hours of 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. Unless there is a glitch with our program where every time I just try to press play on the CKLU computer, it tries to save a file instead of just pressing play on the internet, on the software, which happened this morning for a brief period of time, but then something fixed itself. Not sure what happens. I'm not sure about anything. I emailed a particular person yesterday. I was on an assignment and emailed them ahead of time, got there, and they mentioned to me, "Oh, I got your email. And I tried to respond, but it just disappeared." You know, things like that happen, right? And then my wife needed to use my laptop for a brief period of time, and I opened it up, and I couldn't get past the home screen. It just wouldn't let me. It just never happened in 2.5 years of having this laptop. You put your password in, and it just stays with the home screen and doesn't let you into the computer. So interesting technological things happening just in the last 3 days. You remember the Friday show? It was upload speeds that prevented us from having a glitch-free show. Everything was freezing, but that was because of the upload speeds. And we're supposed to have upload speeds that are favorable for this particular show, but for some reason that day, the upload speeds weren't sufficient. So it looks like they're on today. I did a speed test, and it looks like we're fine. But we're right on the cusp, so if there's ever any little glitch with upload speeds, it's going to affect the show from this particular location. However, it will not stop us from having a great show, and as you might have seen, you could have caught the show on demand, and it would have been fine. So anyways, thanks for being with us. And we're live on CKLU 96.7 FM. We're streaming live at cklu.ca. You can click on the Radio Player Canada app and stream us. You can download it and take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. We're also streaming live at facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow the channel and the page. We're also on demand on those two platforms, along with twitter.com/Sudbury News, now X, and on demand as well at sudbury.news. Click on the Sudbury News Talk tab, and you can watch the show afterwards. The conversation only continues on Facebook, however. And make sure to comment, because during the live, I'll do my best to get your comments up on the screen for those watching, read for those listening. And as the show continues, though, we're sometimes not able to read all of the comments because the show must go on. But I'll put them up on the screen for those watching on demand. And we really appreciate your comments, because this is your conversation on your station, which is CKLU 96.7 FM. Been around since 1984. And we'll be back right after this. We're going to dive in with a little bit of weather. Weather's been the news these days, right? If you're in Ontario, and it's still in the news. So let's catch a little bit of weather here, and we'll be back right after this. And Sudbury weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. Currently it's -10, but it feels like -19 with light snow. So very cold. And there is a weather warning. Let's get to that. Let's see if weather advisory doesn't work. So this is the using the CBC weather. And when you click on the weather warning, it just doesn't work. So that's that. Today, periods of snow becoming mixed with ice pellets this afternoon. Snow and ice pellets amount to 5 centimeters, and the wind will be gusting up to 40 kilometers. High of -3, wind chill -18 this morning, and -9 this afternoon. Tonight, mainly cloudy, 60% chance of snow or drizzle, changing to 30% chance of rain or drizzle overnight, risk of freezing drizzle this evening. So that would have been your weather warning from Environment Canada, right? And to pay attention to the weather, especially if you're traveling, because freezing drizzle is not good, especially after the weather we just got. And the low tonight will be -3, but -9 this evening. Tuesday, cloudy with a 30% chance of rain or drizzle. And high wind chill -6 in the afternoon. And the UV index, which you're really wanting to hear, is 1 or low. Extended forecast. So again, 30% chance of periods of rain or drizzle tomorrow, December 10th. And then high of -7 on Wednesday with a chance of flurries, 60% chance of flurries. So this storm that began last Wednesday is just pretty much continuing on and off. It's the same weather. It's just a big circular cloud going over Ontario and around. It's just round and round and round, same weather. You get it one way and then it comes back again. You goes the other way, it comes back. It's pretty crazy. -7 on Wednesday, December 11th, with a 60% chance of flurries after we have 2 days of possible rain mixed with snow. Then Thursday, 30% chance of flurries again with a high of -11. And then Friday, they're saying on Friday the 13th, sunny, high of -9. And then back to cloudy for Saturday, Sunday, -5 and -1. So it looks like it's getting mild for the next couple days, with tomorrow being high of +1. And then getting colder again throughout Wednesday, and then getting milder again after Thursday's lows. And it might even get into the pluses by next Monday again. So up and down weather, very messy. Here's a look at your satellite. Pretty crazy looking. Just clouds all the time swirling around Ontario, Northern Ontario, Southern Ontario. Mixed bag of weather for the last week. Very suspicious weather, by the way, because very just not natural. We watched the Franken skies all the way back from Timmins yesterday. And just not natural. And we've been bombarded from geoengineering for the last week, and this is the results. I guess they really wanted it to snow in our area for some strange reason. Not sure who wants it, but it is what it is, and that's your weather. Brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. Yes, and we're back, and quite a few people are on here, more than usual. So thanks for being with us. If it's your first time, welcome. This is your show, a chance for you to share your views on the news. And we'll have a lot of it this morning. And we'll have some deep dives into the economics of our world. And a lot of people have different views on economics. There's the capitalist view, and there's the Marxist economic communist kind of socialism view of economics. And we'll compare the two of them together, and a little bit of education towards the end of the show, right? And then we'll have a news brief by just a guy. And this is how the best news I find these days are coming just from just people doing independent journalism. And anyways, we'll have a segment that just, it's the way news should be, and it's refreshing to hear, and it's holding our governments accountable like news should do, right? And just basically giving us unadulterated news from our world we live in. Anyways, that's coming up, so stick around for that. Good morning, everyone. Blessings to all. That's Nana on YouTube, and Denise also on YouTube this morning, thinking, or probably feeling that Facebook is not going to be working. I'm not sure, but Denise, good to see you either way, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. And Monique, good morning. Sudbury with a snow emoji. Yes, lots of that stuff. More to come today as we have a weather warning of snow mixed with freezing pellets and then freezing drizzle tonight. Wonderful stuff. Grand rising from Monique. Heart emoji, exclamation points. Pat, good morning with a smiley emoji. Vin, good morning to you. I heard out by your parts in your neck of the woods, there was a power outage, but hopefully all power has been restored. If there indeed was a power outage, 2,000 people or so out of power. Debbie, good morning to you. Smiley emoji. And David, good morning. Take care. Stay safe. Same to you, David. Thanks for being on. Belinda, good morning. You always land on your feet if you know where the ground is. You'll always land on your feet. It makes me sure-footed as a deer. And he keeps me safe on the mountains, which is Psalms 18:33. Heart emojis on both sides. Thank you for that. Scriptures. I'm down for that in the morning, especially. And it's true. Being planted on solid ground, nothing wrong with that. Being grounded in truth, if for lack of better word, and true things, believing in true things keeps you grounded. And it's something that everybody should be seeking. And speaking of someone of that nature, Andrew joining us here. Good morning. Thanks for being with us. Josiah's with us. Beautiful people. Morning, beautiful people, with a smiley emoji with hearts. Much appreciated. And Lucy, good morning to you. Smiley emoji. And Josiah says, and you notice how little sun we have? Oh, for sure. Very little sun, no doubt about it. It will be a white Christmas, Lucy. That is 100%. And good morning, Brian. Good morning, Sudbury Patriots. On another note, I haven't seen a mosquito in months. Funny you say that. My daughter saw a mosquito a couple weeks ago in the house. We were like, wow, that's a real holdout from summer. And so funny. Okay, so yes. Rebecca. Yes, I was trying to remember your name. Just because when people have handles or whatever, it's sometimes I have a hard time. I know we had somebody on YouTube the other day, and I believe it was Jessica, but the handle is different than the name, and it's hard for me to remember. It's hard for me to remember my own name, let alone anyone else's half the time. And Lucy says, get the sleigh out with horses, LOL. Sleigh bells are ringing these days. Are you listening? And Vin, and yes, big thank you to the hydro workers last night. For sure, they are definitely an appreciated industry and the workers at Hydro and the power line guys. Thank you very much. I have the privilege of having a class where I teach in the power line program at Cambrian, and they are a unique, special bunch of people. Love the students there, and so thank you to the Hydro One folks who restored power between Onaping and Cartier, I believe. There was 2,000 customers were out of power. And Miles, good morning. Senate Finance Committee report out. The average Canadian will save a total of 4.51 on the GST holiday in the next 2 months. Oh, yeah. The average Canadian will save a total of $4.51 on the GST holiday in the next 2 months. I'm going to say that again because I think I read it wrong the first time. So the report is out from the Senate Finance Committee, and the average Canadian will save $4.51. After all of that crap they're going to put the small businesses through and give them, hives for all of the work they got to do to change their point of sale machines and systems and all that, just for some items to have no GST on them, to save us $4.51. And then they're going to double the carbon tax pretty much right after that. I wonder what the numbers are on what they'll make off the average Canadian on doubling the carbon tax. Monique, okay. So there's some issues with posts again. Not sure why. David, good morning to you. Thanks for being on. Again, speaking of again. And Nancy again. Good morning. What's with the drones in the U.S. and England? Start. Okay, war. Aliens, maybe? Okay, so yeah, that's a really weird one with all these drones spotted. They keep saying New Jersey and New York, kind of, but I think they're in more places, like you said, England. And they're just basically saying, oh, nothing to see here. Oh, we're not sure what they are. Like there's no real information on them. Don't you think that, if there's all these unidentified drones all over the place, that they would at least capture a couple of them? You would think the country in the world that has the strongest military might, arguably, would want to investigate these things, but yet it's just like nobody's really saying much about where they're from or what they're doing. Anyways, just bizarre stuff. The world keeps getting weirder and weirder. And Judy, good morning to you. Thanks for being on. Belinda, okay. Not sure why. I'm thinking it's something to do with the comments not working properly. Yes, Miigwich, for sure. That's no problem. Rebecca, thanks for being on today. And Jerome, good morning. Good people. Strong arm and a Canada emoji. And you sent me something this morning, Jerome. I hadn't had a chance to look at it yet. Just getting off to a late start with all this technology. And Brian, the number is bloated with the $4.51. If that's bloated, that's crazy. Belinda says, Trudeau, nothing more dangerous than a wounded narcissist. He's going all out on the pow grab. And Linda says, good morning from River Valley. And good morning to you, Linda. Thanks for being on. And Brian says, to the worst degree. Okay. All right. Something about the comments happening here. And Project Bluebeam, if you haven't had a chance to look at that, I think it's something worth looking into. And it's very readily available. Project Bluebeam. To sum it up, alien invasion, that's what it has to do with. So apparently it's an operation that it's a future operation, which might be right around the corner. But the government is said to use whatever technology they have to pull like a war of the worlds on the world again, but using holograms and whatever other technology they have to make a fake alien invasion kind of it's fake, but they kind of make it look real. They want it to be real. So everybody believes that we're being attacked by aliens, Project Bluebeam. And that's not just it. There's more to it than that, but you can look it up. Bluebeam, not hard to remember, very easily. Both words start with B, blue beam. Yeah, so it's interesting. We're having issues with comments. Now, that has nothing to do with our upload speeds. That is everything to do with Facebook. So whatever's going on there, we hope the good folks at Facebook, if anybody is listening, can correct the issues we're having with commenting. Lucy says, don't tell me they don't know what happened to those drones. They are big and large sizes unless they are blind. Correct. Everyone's wondering what's going on. Shame on Britain finally admitting the replacement theory was a failed experiment. And that's actually the news we have coming up here. Vin, maybe we'll start off with that today, just because it's a good segue. Yeah, this is, again, like if news was real these days, this would be the news we would be hearing, you know? But it's not. So, but if it was, this would be your morning headlines coming in nice and crisp and, you know, and unadulterated. And anyways, the beginning of the video is a little bit cut off because of the way Facebook and Instagram work. All these pop-ups have to happen in order before, and the video starts playing without any volume on it. And it's a reel that you can't rewind and all these things. And so I got to it as fast as I could to pause it and with the volume on. So I apologize. Just the very beginning of it, it's cut off. Anyways, here you go. This is real news.
Engineered the downfall of our societies. A recent US report confirms what so-called conspiracy theorists have said all along. COVID likely came from a lab incident involving dangerous, taxpayer-funded research. They also went on to admit that the vaccines were recklessly rushed, skipping proper safety trials and led to significant harms, and said that schools were unscientifically closed, causing unprecedented learning loss and psychological damage to children. This confession by the US comes just weeks after the Canadian government released a report detailing how our top security biolabs sent deadly pathogens to China's military to be used in the dangerous gain-of-function research, which eventually led to the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, across the ocean, British leader Keir Starmer admitted that Western nations had been running an open borders experiment. Mass migration wasn't some unavoidable crisis, it was a deliberate decision by world leaders. This isn't about governments failing to respond to unforeseen problems. It's about deliberate actions, one crime against humanity after another. In the past 5 years, they've funded and engaged in risky bioweapons research involving deadly pathogens with a hostile communist nation. They enacted global tyranny under the guise of public health, only for all-cause mortality to skyrocket after coercing the public into taking experimental pharmaceutical products. They pushed millions into poverty, crushed small businesses, expanded bureaucracy, and facilitated the largest upward wealth transfer in human history. They launched mass psyops to scapegoat and gaslight anyone who dared to dissent, tearing apart friends, families, and communities in the process. Framing these actions as mere incompetence or well-intentioned mistakes is an insult to the truth. Governments and transnational corporations amassed unimaginable amounts of wealth and power during a mass casualty event they caused. Anything less than international trials for these psychopaths is a mockery of justice. We cannot let those who lied, thieved, and tyrannized their way into societal destruction to bury their immense guilt in sanitized reports, only to continue ruling over us while collecting taxpayer-funded salaries. It's time we see real accountability. No more empty reports, no more political doublespeak. It's time we learn what justice looks like.
So doesn't that sound great? Like it's just hearing truth, the way news should be. This is all news. He's just reporting the news. Now he puts in there his own feelings of what should be done with the people that perpetrated the things that he reported on. No, right? But at the same time, wow, like this is just reporting. Wonder why you don't hear that on CBC, he's reporting on world events that happened, that are happening, right? But you don't hear that in mainstream news. Look, all the things that we went through for the last 4 years have been basically found out by a commission that was commissioned to look into this stuff, and then, the open borders policy on purpose. Correct? And all of that admitted now. So that's news. It's not a conspiracy theorist saying it. It's not conspiracy. And had the repercussions, like he said, splitting up friendships and families and everybody on different sides of the, of the issues, doing it on purpose. So pretty terrible stuff. And again, yeah, these people should be held accountable with whatever accountability that's available. But will it happen? I doubt it. I really do. And good morning, Evelyn. Thanks for being on. Thanks for being with us. So it's pretty incredible. Yeah, and Denise is saying, and there's more to come. They have more plans for things, and we know this. And their plans are easily able to be found because they have to tell you what they're going to do before they do it. It's part of their belief structure. It's a kind of witchcraft if you want to just kind of boil it down to what it truly is. Priestcraft, witchcraft, same idea. These are people who know the truth, but they use their understanding against the masses for their own gain, for the few. The few who have the knowledge will make decisions, and they're in power and positions of influence, but they utilize that for their own gain, for the few people that they're part of the gang, and to oppress and to exploit the masses. It's been going on for quite some time. It used to be the kings and queens would do it, and then there was a revolt against kings and queens on a global scale, and although they're still around for some reason. And, and then we had a different form of governance or whatever, which we'll get to towards the end of the show here. But let's just dive in. Oh, we're freezing again? I hope not. There's no reason for freezing. No reason for freezing. But we were. I guess it was what we played. So I guess it's whatever we were playing. Oh, yeah. No, I'm freezing again. Yep. Back to freezing. Wonderful. Okay, so let's just head into some local news and maybe whatever algorithms or whatever are causing freezing. We'll just start, with some local news, and maybe that'll be more sufficient for a nice strong feed, right? Here you go. And then Sudbury.com's got their morning segment here that they put out each and every morning to give us whatever news stories have been covered for the last couple of days. Grateful for Sudbury.com for that segment that they have. Yeah. Okay, we have a new candidate for the NDP going to be running in Sudbury. So it's Nadia Varelli. She was uncontested pretty much. So she'll be the NDP candidate for the next federal election here in Sudbury. And they found a particular builder. Ellis Dawn will be chosen as the contractor to build passenger rail platforms for the Northlander passenger rail service in northern Ontario. So that's good news. Winter advisory, weather travel advisory in Greater Sudbury, as we talked about here. Okay, so make sure to drive according to conditions. City seeks input on allowing 4 residential units per property. So this is something they're going to be discussing today. City of Sudbury is looking for public input on proposed amendment to the official plan and zoning bylaw to allow up to 4 units on a property, generally without the need for additional rezoning. A public hearing will be held today at 1 p.m. regarding the proposed amendments in the council chamber at Tom Davies Square, which is 200 Brady. On November the 12th, 2024, City Council directed staff to present amendments to the official plan of zoning bylaw that, if approved, will allow up to 4 units on properties in residential areas where municipal water and sewer services are available. The full report on the 4th unit as of right proposal is found on Sudbury.com's website. You just click on it and you can read it. So that's an interesting thing, right? So you live in a house and you got the ability to, add a couple bathrooms and a couple, areas where people could live, and you're going to build 3 other units in your home. So every residential neighborhood could have 4plexes instead of houses. So that's basically what it's saying. And so you'll have, what about parking though, right? So our residential units pretty much have a driveway. Can you fit 4 cars in each driveway? Possibly. Maybe there's not an issue there. So you'll have 4 families instead of 1 family. 4 families garbage to be picked up. What are the internet and companies going to say now? Can you just have the household to just have internet and you're able to share it with your units in there? Probably for a while. So it's interesting. That's going to change. And good morning, Liette. Thanks for joining us from Collingwood. And we're just having a great show here, trying not to get frozen. Hard not to get frozen if you're outside, but on the show. But we did go through a little freezing, but I think it had to do with what we were sharing at the time. Unadulterated news. I wanted to give a shout out to him, though, Liam Out Loud, the Blender report. So Liam Out Loud, very good reporting there. So much appreciated by Liam Out Loud. Yes, so the power has been restored. There were 2,004 hydro customers affected in the Onaping-Cartier area up to Halfway Lake Provincial Park. So they restored it as of late yesterday evening, which is great. We are going through some of the stories here on our news aggregator, Sudbury.news. We already covered quite a bit of them. The Sudbury Wolves won both of their games this weekend, and they won 5-2 in their first game against the Erie Otters, and then against the Firebirds, the Flint Firebirds. There was an overtime victory, 5-4. And it looks like our Sudbury 5 won their game on Friday as well. 118 to 84 victory against Windsor. So they're doing very well as well this year. Great to see some winning teams on the road. And Little Skidoo. You remember that Christmas song? And if you don't, you might not be from around these parts. Little Skidoo, It's Up to You. It's pretty much a regional song from here. It was really big. Yeah, the 4 units per building is could be part of the greater plan, correct? 15-minute cities, just to get a bunch of people into a smaller area. If you haven't heard of 15-minute cities, smart cities, again, let your fingers do the Googling. You'll get past a couple things that say it's just a conspiracy theory, and then you'll get to actual government statements and government announcements that that's part of their plans, kind of thing. So Little Skidoo is going to be a classical arrangement, a Christmas song that has become synonymous with Sudbury, now has its own classical arrangement. So that's pretty awesome. Looking forward to hearing that. And it was National Christmas Tree Day on December the 7th. You need a National Everything Day for sure, including Christmas trees. So the Ford government and Ontario Northland are chugging along with the revival of the Northlander train connecting Timmins to Toronto. That's from CTV. If you want more on that story, just click on that on our news aggregator. Sad news for Valet is releasing more information about their layoffs. Released a statement Friday about the decision to cut managerial positions at its Canadian operations. So there will be some people that are affected here in Sudbury as well, more than likely. And I'm freezing again, apparently. So not sure why. We're just going through local stories. Nothing too controversial here. There were dozens of crashes in Sudbury over the first snowfall. Winter came to Sudbury region this week, and the police said the first major snowfall results in dozens of collisions across the city. And who would have thought, right? It's interesting when we first get winter snow, the amount of accidents that happen. I guess we forget how to drive in the winter, and we need to be reminded that you can't drive the same in the winter as you do in the summer. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, well, let's move on here. I got something I want to share with y'all, and I'm pretty sure it won't be that controversial for anybody on Facebook or YouTube or anything like that. It's just basically economics 101. And there's differing views on economics, and you'll probably have heard some of these. They're very prevalent in our university system and in our world, talking about how economics should function and how it actually does function, and how it would function more efficiently. And there's a lot going on here. And this is a story by one of my favorite reporters, John Stossel. And we'll take it from that just to end off the show.
Secretary Robert Reich.
Former Labor Secretary Robert Reich now makes videos like I do. In fact, his inequality media is a lot like Stossel TV. He also covers economic topics and reaches people via social media. His videos are also seen by several million people. It's strange. Reich does what I do, except Reich is wrong about most everything.
Top progressive economist Robert Reich.
The media call Reich an economist.
Economist Robert Reich.
Robert Reich, an economist who served as Labor Secretary.
Reich doesn't correct them, but he doesn't have an economics degree. And his videos say silly things like this.
Do billionaires have a right to exist?
Ban billionaires, he says, because
There are only 5 ways to become a billionaire, and they're all bad. Number 1, exploit a monopoly. Does Jeff Bezos really deserve his billions for building Amazon?
Yes, he does. I don't much like Bezos, but Amazon is wonderful. Its innovations lowered prices so much that Amazon cut inflation. Reich calls Amazon a monopoly. But the company isn't a monopoly. It has to compete with Walmart, Target, eBay, Alibaba, and more. If we choose Amazon, it's because it's cheaper or we think it's better.
Billionaires claim they deserve their riches.
Reich says billionaires don't deserve what they have because they
Get money from rich relatives.
But the biggest study of millionaires finds few did. Billionaire Howard Schultz grew up in public housing. Billionaire Larry Ellison quit school to work odd jobs. He only got rich after founding Oracle. Jeff Bezos did get some money from his parents, but he grew Amazon with money from investors. For a long time, people called them crazy.
Each year it loses more money than it lost the year before.
They said Amazon wasn't viable. It would never become profitable. Capitalism rewards such risk-taking. But Reich says,
If capitalism were working properly, billionaires would have gone the way of the dodo.
but the opposite's true. Capitalism working properly creates some absurdly rich people. And that's okay, because we freely chose to give the money in exchange for stuff we want. As I've reported before,
If this represents the wealth of America, progressives would say the rich take so much that the poor just get a sliver.
they believe Hollywood scriptwriters who say,
It's a zero-sum game. Somebody wins, somebody loses. Money itself isn't lost or made, it's simply transferred.
but that's wrong.
It's not a zero-sum game. The makers who get rich by baking many more pies.
When the hated billionaires like Larry Ellison, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk get rich, they can only do it by making all of us better off.
They only kept 2.2% of the additional wealth they generated for the economy.
Actual economist Dan Mitchell.
In other words, the rest of us captured almost 98% of the benefits.
Another Reich video trashes trade.
Global trade is good for everyone. That's bunk.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. Get it? Of course trade isn't good for everyone. Nothing is. But when it comes to improving people's lives, trade's great. It helps the rich and the poor. It's what allows everyone to get better products for less money. Actual economist Don Boudreau made this video about it.
None of us has a hint of how to make the majority of the things that we consume. Take this coffee, for example. The beans come from Guatemala, and they were brewed in this coffee maker from Switzerland. The container ship that carried the beans was built in Korea. It's insured by a company from London, and it's captained by a Frenchman who loves Turkish cigarettes.
Trade lets people specialize in what we do best. It's called comparative advantage. I'm good at reporting, but lousy at growing coffee beans. Coffee tastes better and costs less because someone who's good at that can do it much more efficiently than and I can specialize on my reporting. That comparative advantage, multiplied by millions of capitalists, makes everything more affordable. But Robert Reich says,
What if a country's comparative advantage comes from people working under dangerous or exploitative conditions?
I once asked Kenya's June Arunga.
Doesn't the United States have the responsibility to stop these companies from exploiting people in your country?
Exploiting people? Nobody in my country thinks about companies exploiting them. When there's a new company opening a factory, people are excited about it.
Trade creates opportunity. It's what's allowed 1 billion people to lift themselves out of poverty. Families who once survived by doing hard labor on farms now live better lives. Ignorant politicians from both parties trash trade.
All these foreign countries that are coming in and ripping us off and taking our jobs.
Yes, trade does take away some Americans' jobs, but it creates more jobs. Companies engaged in trade create 60% of America's new jobs. It's why unemployment is low today and why the number of Americans who have jobs has been rising.
You hear this rubbish all the time.
Finally, Rice says it's rubbish to say Biden's huge spending caused inflation.
Inflation is caused by too much government spending.
Bunk.
Not bunk. When politicians hand out big amounts of cash, it does cause inflation. Reich blames corporate greed.
Mega corporations raise prices to increase their profits.
Greed is constant.
Again, here's actual economist David Henderson.
If it's greed, how do we explain when prices fall? Do oil companies just suddenly decide, I'm going to be less greedy?
As the Nobel Prize-winning economist puts it,
inflation is made in Washington because only Washington can create money. And any other attribution to other groups of inflation is wrong.
As I said, Reich, even though colleges pay him to brainwash students, is wrong about most everything.
Of all developed nations, the United States has the most unequal distribution of income.
Inequality media is a catchy name, but inequality isn't bad if the poor get richer too. Inequality is not a conspiracy. It's simply what happens when people are free. Taylor Swift is a billionaire. Should our government force people to listen to me sing to make life more equal? Should government handicap Joe Rogan because he has more viewers than I do? Reich talks economic justice, but where's the justice in imposing rules that leave people less free? I wanted to ask him about that, but he refused our repeated offers of an interview. Maybe now that this video's posted, he will respond. I'll let you know if he does.
And I just, again, the reason why I like sharing John Stossel's videos, and especially about the subject of capitalism, because especially in this area, the people basically that I talked to who came through university, most of them believe what they were taught in university, and it's just not sound economics. It's an ideological place they're coming from, not an economic place. They were taught ideology in university, not facts. And it was like a religion that they were converted to in university. As you can see right there, this Reich guy, he's in front of thousands, or at least hundreds of students there. He's teaching thousands a year. And the universities are teaching this stuff as if it's truth, as if wealth is finite, as wealth is like a pie. There's only so much money in the world, and it's like a pie. And these billionaires get big slices of it, and there's not much left for you, which is totally, totally wrong. And you can prove that easily by just a simple experiment. You can easily, let's say, there's people, I do it all the time. I worked 5 jobs at one time. So just by getting, not that you want to, because your quality of life could go down, but sometimes it's out of necessity. You need more than one job. So you're making one job. Just by a decision you made to start another job, you made more money. It's not like you're being told, or your situation is the way that it is because somebody else is making good money. You can make good money too by the decisions you make. It's not like because somebody is winning and somebody's doing well and somebody is the best at something and they're being rewarded for it. It doesn't mean that you can't be the best at what you do and be rewarded for that. You could start a little hobby on the side and make some extra money. You can come up with a great idea that's going to innovate whatever industry that you're in, and you could benefit from that. It doesn't take away. So let's say you go out and get 3 or 4 jobs, or you come up with a side hustle where you're making some extra money. That doesn't take away from Elon Musk's wealth because you made some more. And if everyone makes more money, it takes away from their wealth. Everyone can be wealthy based on their own choices. And you want to make a market. You want to have the landscape for people to be able to do that if you wanted to. And by forcing somebody to not excel, oh, you're only allowed to excel so much, it's just going to drive down innovation. No one's going to be motivated to be the best they could be at anything. They're punished for being the best they can. And that's what I've always felt like Canada is kind of like, they don't really make it so people can succeed at things. It's really hard to succeed in Canada, especially at business. I tried it, and it's not impossible. You can do it. It's very hard though. The government is there wanting their money right away for WSIB and all the other deductions and taxes. They want their money right away, and they don't want to help you to grow and be successful. They just want to tax you right away from whatever you do, and make it a living nightmare to actually run a business with all the red tape and regulations and things that they impose. Just like a noose around someone's neck. It's almost like they come with the noose with you. Oh, you want to start a business? Here's your noose. Here, don't worry, we'll tighten it as you go. We'll make it as almost impossible for you to do it, But we'll be there making money off you the whole way. Whatever things you got to buy for your business, it's taxed. We're going to make money off that. And whenever you hire someone, we're going to tax them to death and you to death. We're going to take 25% of their paycheck and you're going to match it. So you're going to pay the 25% too. So that way we get 50% of their wages. So it's a socialist Marxist view of the economy, which we know how it ends. And it's, we've probably seen the best of capitalism already, and it's on its way out, because what we see now is a crony capitalism where the government got involved and made it possible to have these, monopolies and you name it, right? So now people can point at it and say, see how capitalism fails or failed or is failing us. But that's because government got involved, and government made regulations and policies and things that made it possible for one company to succeed and other ones to not come up and provide competition and so forth, right? So it's not a free and open market. It's capitalism in its unadulterated best, form is the best for the world. There's no doubt about it. And John Stossel made a great argument about it. It's one country has a certain climate, has a certain soil. They can grow a certain thing better than any other country. And so they're going to specialize in that. They have great soil and perfect conditions for bananas. Why wouldn't that country just concentrate on bananas and provide it to the world? And then, some other country can provide their resources and things they have, and they'll buy those bananas, and then they'll send their things they do well to that other country. And that's capitalism, and that's global capitalism, the way that it's supposed to function. But anyways, we're in transition right now with all these ideas from global governments and corporations wanting things to change, and we'll see how all this ends up, right? So the few making decisions for the many, but they got to sell it to the many, so you'll go along with it, right? So there's wrong information given from people like John Stossel just pointed out, and unfortunately, you have pretty much anyone listening to me on the radio probably disagreeing with it, because it's all about corporate greed. And the one real economist made the argument of, well, if they're always greedy, why do prices go down sometimes then, right? Because markets fluctuate. It's not just corporate greed. Inflation has started in mainly due to governments printing more money. And what about government greed, right? Isn't that a thing? Can it be a thing? Is it a thing? Do you think politicians are greedy? Well, just look at some of the decisions they make. They've been getting a raise every year on their salaries, while we've been struggling, and most of us have not been getting any raises. While food prices are quadrupled, and gas prices are doubling, and carbon tax, and you name it tax, and tax on tax. It's I think there's greed I think there's government greed. Yeah. So where's anybody with that talking point that's out there? Why are you only hearing about corporate greed? There's greed there, and there's greed in the government. There's greed everywhere. Greed is a thing that humans have. It's not only corporations. Anyways, that's all the time we got for today. Thanks for being with us. We actually went overtime, but we'll be back same time, same place, on the same platforms, same times, God willing, tomorrow. So have a great Monday, everyone. Stay safe. If you're going to drive to the conditions. Stay home if you gotta, unless you have to go out. So we'll see you tomorrow. Ciao, everyone. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.